All right, folks, welcome to Nino's Corner.tv. I'm with America's favorite doctor, Dr. Drew, who really did help me during my journey with addiction. He gave me some good points and things to follow up on and really helped me a lot. And I know my audience has the same kind of problems because I get emails all the time discussing these things, people reaching out for help. How'd you do it? How'd you get sober? What'd you do? And folks, I can always tell you, I always gravitated to really great mentors. And what better person to talk to today? I'm giving my audience a real treat than Dr. Drew himself. Doctor, thank you so much for joining me.
Pleasure to be here.
And with that being said, folks, get your noble gold. Here's the hard truth, folks. Every 6 years, your dollar loses half its buying power. That 100,000 in savings today, it could feel like 50,000 by 2031. But here's a way to protect and preserve your money, and that's gold. Noble Gold Investments makes it easy to own gold or silver. No pressure, no call centers, just honest one-on-one support. Open a qualified account and get a free 10-ounce silver American flag bar. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com. Noblegoldinvestments.com, folks. Get over there and get yourself some gold and silver. All right, Doc. So, man, lots of stuff. I'm like using this as a free therapy session.
This won't be the first time, Let's go.
All right. So, Doc, I got to say, I really appreciate you coming on. And everyone knows I have a lot of highs and lows, especially right now. And, I've been struggling with addiction. Same with my audience. A lot of people in my audience struggle with the same thing. And for me, 5 years, 7 months, 5 years and 7 months I've been clean.
Congratulations.
That doesn't mean it's not been easy. It's every day it's still a struggle. So I've taken your advice on a lot of stuff. Been talking to pastors and going to church more often, but it's still, man, it's like I still I feel like a werewolf.
It is. That's a great way of describing it. And people often will talk about their addict self and their self
as two people,
themselves, and then the addict self. Yeah.
And I get these. It's like a rash. I have to do that, but I haven't bended. I haven't folded. I've been staying strong. And the reason I say strong is I think it's because of boxing. The boxing life carried over to where I was able to go into training camps and turn it all off: women, drugs, alcohol. But I would know after two months of training that I would be able to go back and do whatever I wanted to do. I don't have that luxury anymore. I don't have the highs and lows. I just have to stay on this stable. It's kind of boring.
Well, it is boring, and one of the things about an addict brain is that it likes excitement. It just does. It's actually, you're born with an alteration of the dopamine receptor system. The so-called DRD2 receptors are not I don't want to say normal because there's plenty of addicts around. They are normal, but they have this liability amongst other things where they need higher levels of arousal in order to feel gratified, in order to feel right. And there are ways to get that without, extreme behaviors, right? It does kind of settle down because there are multiple systems operating in the brain that taken advantage of by the disease of addiction. There's a wanting system and a liking system, right? You want to do something again and again. That's sort of the survival system. Do that again. It's good for survival. Do it. And that's actually the toughest part. But there's a liking system too. And that's kind of what I'm talking about now, where you like certain things a lot and not gratifying that liking system. You have to find alternative ways to fulfill that process. And just to start right where you are, you use a language about boxing and, being able to turn things on and off. You cannot, and this is what I was telling you last time, you cannot manage addiction alone. That is a universal feature of this disorder. You need support. You need other people to reflect upon. And you and I in the past have explored what might work for you, and that's why you went over towards clergy. And that's good. That's a good thing if they know what they're doing, if they're really able to help with this. But it's a thing, man. It's a thing.
Here's the thing also is that it doesn't matter. It's not just even if I want it to be dangerous. I like the adrenaline.
Well, it's not the adrenaline. It's the euphoria. It's the endorphin system, and it's that.
But why does it matter if it? Why is it then that I sometimes want to self-sabotage and do something that's just going to throw everything off and nuke everything.
That's a little different. That's a little different. So let's talk about the one thing. So the what you call the adrenaline system is actually the sort of reward endorphin system that it's the reason I've explained this to you before. It's the reason this disorder, this genetic makeup, has been so highly preserved in the human population. It's 10% always. It's always there. It actually gets to be a little more in circumstances.
So everyone has this.
No. Oh, no. It's only about 10% of the population has it. Unless I put you on an island and I send armies over to attack that island across multiple generations, then this disease emerges even more. Because addiction, the genetics of addiction is a survivor gene. So you are literally a more evolved form of the human being in adversity. It's why you make great fighter pilots and great boxers and great extreme athletes and great shortstops. Those are all addicts. Those have the genetics.
It's DNA. It's like the Viking.
Yeah.
Because
exactly.
I've even had to get off testosterone, and I'll tell you why. The reason
I'm sure
that made the addiction that much worse. Like even, and I was on hormone replacement therapy.
Yeah.
Because I messed with steroids for so long in my life that finally I said I got to get on hormone replacement therapy, and all it did was just like trigger that gene that makes me want to like conquer and pillage, and well, it makes me crazy.
It's all the same thing, man. It's all and it's great if we were having a military genocidal assault. We would stand behind you and go, Nino, let's go. You lead us into this.
The trenches,
or fly the fighter jets, whatever. But I used to amuse myself. I used to amuse myself with lectures I would give. I would go into rooms and I go, bunch of addicts, alcoholics. And I go, well, what if a fucking bunch of Huns or a bomb went off in the parking lot? What do you guys want to do? 85, 90%. I'm going to grab a chair and go at it. That is the opposite of the normie instinct, which is I'm going to run the other way. And so evidently in extreme and particularly military kinds of circumstances, fighting and keeping your wits about you and, sort of being, proactive, you're going to survive better. That's what the evidence suggests.
So is it like a primitive, like DNA that's still dominant in a lot of people that should?
You're putting a negative blush on it. I'm here to tell you it's a more evolved thing. It's an important thing for the survival of the human being. Unfortunately, in times of quiet and peace, you experience all the things you've just been talking about. I'm bored. I want to go do something. I want to act out. Blah 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 blah. It feels uncomfortable to you. You need some action.
Absolutely, it does. And my friends that I'm, I don't really talk to many of them anymore, but when I do talk to them here and there, it hasn't stopped. Like I have a friend, I'm not going to say his name, but he was a doctor. He was an anesthesiologist. Well, he's the same as me, and he got caught shooting this stuff up.
Yeah.
I mean.
But here's the other thing that you have to understand, that this is what everybody misses. I don't care if you're a doctor being administered the medication by a nurse. I don't care how you're getting it. If you're exposing your brain to these chemicals, you're in a progressive process, particularly the opiates that your friend has, in a progressive process that ends in death. It's a fatal condition.
But they're not worried about it. They're playing with fire.
But I understand. But the rest of the world goes, oh, let him do whatever. Blah, blah, blah. He wants to shoot up. Let him go. No. It's an illness that ends in death. And we can do things to correct it, to change the course.
So what's the common thread here with addicts? I mean, is it that they like to play with danger? Is it pain? Is it that stimulation they need? Because when I go see a Skid Row, like we were in San Francisco and it was, the Skid Row that was so bad. Everyone's just knocked out, nodding out on fentanyl and things like that. Yeah. And I think to myself, I really feel for these people. Like I have a heart for these people because I know it's pain. I lost my sister to addiction, and I knew that she had the biggest heart. She was like an empath. But she couldn't deal with the drugs and the alcohol and all that. I've always believed that it's just people that don't know how to cope with pain, or they just can't get through life because it's so painful. Well, nobody wants to be a junkie, right?
Right. So that's the second part. So the illness, the more advanced forms of the illness is actually two different conditions. It's the addictive process, which is a biological.
By the way, I'm taking notes when you talk.
Good. I see you. It's a biological process, and we can get into great detail about what that biology is, and emotional dysregulation, which is what you're talking about, right? And so where does emotional dysregulation come from? Well, that's childhood trauma. And that has a wide variety of dynamics and flavors, and you can't even get at that till somebody's been sober 6 months, a year, something like that. Because if you get at that stuff too early, they either A, decide they're cured and then go use drugs now, or
Right,
B,
right.
or B, it motivates them, it unsettles them, and they go use drugs. You have to first, the addiction is the life-threatening part. You have to manage that first. And then, and by the way, most people in the first 6 months of recovery from, a serious addiction don't remember anything. So to get involved in deep psychological processes doesn't make any sense at all in those first 6 months. Particularly, I'd say the first year. Depends on the case.
So like, what is the, for someone like me, 5 years and 7 months, people are always telling me, man, I can't believe like you were the craziest one out of everybody. I can't believe you're doing it. Like they're all saying the same thing. And the friends that used to tell me that I was the craziest, they're dead. They're dead now. I've lost 4 of them. And I was the crazy one, but
that is the thing I see all the time. People always go, well, how do you know who's going to get better? I don't know, but I've seen many Ninos get better. And that gives me hope for everybody.
Right.
And I've seen many people that I expect to get better die of this addiction.
And that's why I'm doing this show for my audience. And I put myself out there and I'm being vulnerable because I'm with one of the best doctors in America. And I feel like I want to use this to help people. That's why.
Of course.
That's why I want
and that is how, so now you're talking about the recovery process, and that's how most people come to fulfillment and getting things to settle down, amongst other things, service to others, meaning making, finding meaning and being rewarded by that meaning. That stimulates the brain too. But you have to go there. Purpose, meaning, service, these things are, and then some, this is the other thing you and I have talked about, something other than yourself, something outside of your head, spiritual, something, whatever it is. The 12-step has a God concept. You don't have to use that word. I don't care what you use. Laws of physics. I don't give a shit. Something bigger than yourself, because your head, this is the thing you got to understand. And this, I want to emphasize this to you because you're kind of complaining about this right now. All the wonderful systems in your brain, your desire to help, your emotional systems, your big heart you talked about, your thinking, all is under the influence of this illness down at the base of the brain that colors everything else. And so you cannot trust your thinking. We call it stinking thinking, because it's you have to test it out on other people who understand this illness. That's why we have a recovery community, man. That's why we have that, because you can go into the rooms and go, hey, I'm thinking about maybe I'm going to get back into the ring, and somebody might look at you and go, I have nothing wrong with you going back in the ring, but somebody in recovery who knew you well might go, dude, that's your disease. You got to be very careful with that. I don't know. But that's the kind of thing you
definitely not getting back in the ring.
Well, it's the kind of thing you need constantly. Somebody there going, yeah, okay, but tell me what you're thinking in a couple of weeks, and we'll talk about it again, because it gets going, and I don't know if I told you this. You ever see the Little Shop of Horrors, the movie?
Yeah, way back in the day.
Okay, well, that plant, the 𝗬𝗏2, is a perfect model for alcoholism and addiction. You go near it, you go in. You have to have somebody else there pulling you out. It's true of the addict themselves, and it's true of everyone around the addict. You can't do it alone. It's so cunning. It's so powerful.
I've had to cut off people, places, and things. Like, I don't talk to a lot of people anymore. It's a lifestyle for me. I've always been told, my mom was always told me, and especially with what I'm dealing with now, my mom has severe dementia. My dad has seizures. My dad's 90. My mom's 86. They're in wheelchairs and a walker, and it's like they're just and so that's very emotionally exhausting and hard for me to handle every day. Yeah. I'm up there every day. After this, I go right up there. But they've always told me that, I lost my grandmother she's self-deleted. My sister died this way. My aunt died this way. My uncle self-deleted. On both sides of the family, and it's always been told to me that alcoholism is a genetic disease in my family. But I don't understand. Is it the alcohol itself, or is it the wanting of that stimulation? What is it?
Okay, so there's a part of the brain called the medial forebrain bundle, which is a wiring. This is a wiring issue essentially. The ventral tegmental cells move into a region called the nucleus accumbens, way outside of your consciousness. It's like trying to tune into your bowels, your pancreas or something. It's way outside of consciousness. Okay. And it's at the base of the brain. And so these ventral tegmental cells fire into a group of two clusters of cells called the nucleus accumbens. And the nucleus accumbens is tiny and it has its own structures. And the shell of the nucleus accumbens in the genetically prone individual will alter in response to the firing of those ventral tegmental cells. If those ventral tegmental cells fire sort of higher than is physiologically normal, extreme experiences, drugs, it will alter those cells. And those cells literally have intracytoplasmic messengers that we've isolated that reach into the genetics of those cells and change them. So that now the nucleus accumbens needs that firing in order to feel okay, so to speak. And that system is essentially your survival system. That is the part of the brain that says, do that again, it's consistent with survival. Eat, reproduce, go to work. That's that part of the brain. It's just firing off. Yep, good, Nino, good. Whoop, cocaine, really good. Go there.
Yeah.
And so it takes over. It takes over all the other systems.
So if I was living a life, go ahead.
You're living a life.
If I was living a life of complete stimulation all the time, like a pinball machine, ding 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 ding. That's how I lived my life for the longest time. Now I'm depriving myself from all of that.
Yeah,
you get the dilemma.
Well, and correct. And so there's a couple things. So one is those cells are still geared up. It's like a thermostat. They're like, no. I want this.
Yeah, it's not something I could turn off.
But it does settle. It does settle. And I imagine, that unfortunately testosterone does it too. So I wonder if that's why you got a little fucked up by it. But how long have you been off testosterone?
8 months.
Yeah. See, you're in a weird way, you may be kind of early in the game again. It will settle. It will settle more. I mean, at a year, you'll look back and go, whew, okay, I'm better. You will.
Yeah, because being promiscuous is also an addiction.
Oh, for sure.
That's the same thing.
Porn, women, sex addiction is you. I don't know how you do it without 12-step, my friend. Because these are things that a lot of people have, and they sit in Zoom meetings and share, and you see how it operates, and you can get support and things. There's not enough professionals on earth to do this work.
The last time I had therapy was let me think.
Right.
Okay, I'm being serious, and I've been staying strong all by myself.
Go to a sex addicts meeting. Go to a stimulant addicts meeting. Go to something. Yeah, there's
what's weird about me though, Doc, is I don't watch that stuff, man. I'm not addicted to watching it. I don't care about that.
Yeah, I understand, but you have that thing. You say whatever you can relate to. You got to find a sort of an ism.
Right.
That's my primary thing. That's the one that really is threatening me right now. And you go to a group and you hear how it affects other people and how they get better. And so, but there's another feature. You said the pinball, the bing, 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 bing. I worry that you may have also had a mood disturbance, right? Like a bipolar disorder. Didn't you tell me you had something like that?
I wouldn't say bipolar. I suffered from general. They diagnosis obsessive compulsive generalized anxiety and slight depression here and there. But I mean, the depression just comes on strong with the parent situation that I have right now, and,
of course.
That stuff has been spiritually exhausting, emotionally exhausting, and I'm trying to, and this is the dangerous time for me right now because I know I'm about to lose them. I don't know how I'm going to react. I really don't know. The podcasting's keeping me going every day. My podcasting business is really taking off. I talk, every day I'm banging out that gives me purpose. But other than that, I go to the gym. I go to the gym. And other than that, I'm just like crickets.
Yes, you need people in your life that you can share this stuff with and reflect upon. Because grief is the worst thing that humans have to suffer. Humans, we just don't like grief. It's our worst. And it's a tough one, and it takes time. It doesn't just magically go away, and you have to feel it or it bites in the ass later. So if I were you, I'd begin now, by preparing for the loss of how they were. You've already have a bunch of, they've already, aging has taken away your parents in a lot of ways already.
They're not even who they are anymore.
Right. And you can kind of, if you start grieving that now, when the actual body disappears, it won't be quite as, it won't all come rushing in. Right.
So I'm going to just pivot just for a second because I have some questions that I'm very curious about. I know you're in the Hollywood scene and all that, and I'm curious how you're dealing with such a polarized, climate. Like, how are you dealing with such polarized views, politically, and the people that you talk to? Are you getting a lot of people that are highly triggered and can't deal with what's going on right now with Trump and everything? And I'm not taking sides here. I'm just wanting to know what you're dealing with. How are you dealing with it?
I don't like the present situation. I never would have imagined we would have been here in my lifetime. I used to do a show called Loveline where we talked about the biological realities of human relations and stuff. And that is being pointed at as the start where we are now, which we never intended all this stuff. And never. In fact, I thought we were warning people about the realities of these things and not encouraging recklessness and whatever. So I want to try to answer your question. So I've been canceled multiple times. I thank God I have a good family and a good relationship with my wife, and I've had a day job and I have a profession. And so these things, everything I do publicly is sort of, a creative outlet. I don't take it too seriously, even though it is now how I make my living. I'm thankfully I practice medicine. I just do it. I don't worry about making profits on it. In fact, it costs me money to practice medicine now. And, but so it's threatening when I get threatened, but I just keep moving forward. And I've been through so many cancellations in the last 8 or 10 years. I just kind of,
for your political views.
For different reasons, you never know what it's going to be. I got my first. What was my first cancellation? I used to be so sensitive to this shit. Well, I remember when Amazon first started putting book reviews on the book sales, and Adam and I wrote a book in 1996. And I was reading these book reviews. I'm like, oh my God, how dare you say these things? You don't know me. You have no idea what you're talking about. And when I think about that now, when I just look at my Twitter feed, you'll just see horrible
stuff.
Terrible stuff. Yeah. And you just get used to it. It's incredible. But it does keep your compass on straight. You always like, okay, what's right? What am I doing? Did I contribute to that? What's wrong here? And you just keep due north. You keep moving forward. I got canceled.
So it affects it affects you too. So I mean, obviously, when I look at the trolls on my comments, I'm like, oh, they said this to my face. It was just,
I know,
no-brainer.
You can't not react. You can't. If you're not unless you're a severe narcissist or something. Even narcissists, I guess, have shame triggered. But it's something you have to take sort of in stride. If you're not in the middle of a shitstorm, you don't exist in today's world. That's the way it is. And
the internet has completely changed society. I mean, in the sense that now with AI, with the direction AI is going. I think they're saying that what happened from 1995 to 2025, AI is going to do in 2 years, in 3 years. It's going to be that much faster. Everything's changing. I go to Austin and I see robots and wheel carts. I see self-driving cars.
Yeah.
The younger generations, I probably look like a Neanderthal to them. I probably look like they look like aliens to me. Like there's like a big gap now. Like true. You know what I mean? It's like
although I like what I'm seeing, I have really deep optimism about Gen Z and Gen Alpha. They do look like aliens to me, but there's something about them that I think, something good is happening. I just know it. I can feel it. I don't know what they got to figure it out, man. We're going to hand this all over to them.
So do you feel like we're in this vortex of transition, this transitional vortex right now?
Yes.
Where it's like, what's going to happen next? Like,
I don't know.
This Trump administration's done. Who's after Trump? Where's this country going? What's going to happen? What is Generation Alpha going to be like?
Yeah. And so here's what I've started to do is 𝗀𝗃 predicted this, and his prediction was so accurate, I've now adopted his point of view, which is that we're moving into a time of safe spaces and octagons. And,
Yeah.
and that's it. And the octagons are going to prevail, and the safe spaces are going to start coming to the octagons for help and support. Well, hey, why is your state doing so well? You got to give us some of that. So that's what we're heading towards. And I think he's probably right about that. And as such, I really believe this is a time to lean into discomfort. Lean in. We know for sure, like your obsessive compulsive disorder, which I have some of that too. We know the best way to treat that: exposure.
Right.
Exposure is the way you treat anxiety. Exposure is the way you treat. The exposure is how you create resiliency. Exposure is how you create the tolerance. Like I said, tolerate that craziness in the internet, on the X feeds. Just lean into it. Lean in. That's how you'll develop self-efficacy, and that's how you'll grow. Do not hide out in a safe space. That's unhealthy. It's the opposite of health. So safe spaces and octagons. Lean into things now. It's time. And try to, and you've asked how I've managed all this, I've tried to get clarity on certain things. And I'm clear about this. I will go to the mat for free speech.
100%.
I'm a free speech absolutist, and I'm clear on that. And so bring it. Now I'm ready to do battle. And then the next thought I have is be courageous. Well, shit, I never thought that was going to be part of my life at the age of 70. Moving in on 70, I'm going to have to be courageous? Okay, I guess so.
You don't look 70, man. I'm going to be honest with you on that one.
I'm 67 like next month, and so I'm moving in on it, and it's bugging me, believe me. But I'm fighting it back hard in all kinds of ways.
I mean, I'm going to be 48, so yeah, that 50 number's bugging me too. My trainer always said adversity and criticism builds character. You need it in your life to be a stronger man, to be a better fighter. You're going to have to deal with it. And the better you get, the higher the rankings you go, you're going to have to deal with more adversity and criticism. I used to read all the comments when I was fighting, and that I didn't know how to deal with it then. And I think that's why I self-sabotaged my career, because I couldn't deal with the criticism. Right. I feel now that I'm dealing with it a lot better. Like the fact that I'm open with you right now, coming out here and talking about this stuff, I would have never done when I was boxing.
Good. So you've asked several times about sabotage. So let's move into that zone, because that's not addiction. That's something else, right? That is the handmaiden of addiction, which is trauma, childhood trauma.
Right.
And trauma has many, many, many different influences. Let me see. I hope I dig through them all. The big one is emotional dysregulation. And that's what causes you to reach outside of yourself to regulate. That's a drug. That's fighting. That's these things, women, whatever, to try to fill the void, whatever it might be.
Like a fire. You got to keep feeding it.
Feel better. Right. That's trauma. The other thing is repetition. So the crazy thing about childhood trauma is we repeat the traumas of the past. It's the craziest feature of the human being. And particularly interpersonally, we will be attracted to people that are just like the traumatizers. It's an uncanny thing we do. We do it over and over again.
So what you're saying, if I suffer from it, I'm attracted to it?
Let's say you had, I'm going to give you a classic. You're a young girl, your dad's an alcoholic, and he abandons the family when you're 5. That is the kind of guy you're going to be attracted to when you're 20.
Yeah.
And guess what that guy will do? He'll be an alcoholic and abandon you again.
And reaffirm your belief.
Well, you re-traumatize you, and now you have chronic PTSD or complex PTSD because of this continued drive to repeat.
So is that why I went into boxing?
Potentially.
I think that's why.
Yeah.
I wanted that trauma, that fear, that
repeat it.
And I never could conquer that fear, man.
Well, that's not how it's done. That's not the way it's done, is by regulation. And that, again, I'm pitching you, that's an interpersonal thing. You need other brains to develop the regulation of your brain. That's how infants develop it. That's how adults develop it. Humans need other brains. Brains heal other brains. That's why therapy works. It's why, and there's so many great trauma treatments now, EMDR and trauma-informed care and stuff. These are really helpful.
It's just that I've always gotten into the ring alone, and the whole team would get in with me in the ring, and then they'd all get out. I'd be alone, and I would just, at that one moment, I felt at peace.
That's your addiction. Now
Oh
the
wow.
addiction kicking in because the addiction loves, and I bet time actually slows down for you at that moment too.
Yeah, it was just me, and I didn't hear the crowd, nothing. There
Yep.
was just
Yeah,
silence.
that's your addiction. That's you're getting high from the intensity. So people with addiction and people with trauma confuse intensity for health, for love, for all kinds of things because it does feel so good. It feels so good when you're in that intensity. And so that's where the sex addiction comes in. That's where, you're looking for intensity.
Anything to quell the werewolf. That's what I call it. It's a werewolf, and I talked
And
about
it has two elements to it, right? You got to deal with both. You got to deal with the addiction part, and you got to deal with the trauma part. And so what did I say? So we talked about
sabotage.
compulsion. We talked about regulation, and then
I hope my audience is liking this. I think they're probably like,
I think they will,
"Yeah,
because most people don't get this all in one place. And then the other thing is shame. Okay.
I have some of that.
So when you've been traumatized, there is something that traumatized adults carry around from their childhood called toxic shame, which is this incredibly depleting parasympathetic dominance, often associated with dissociation, where you dissociate. Sort of what you were describing in the ring is kind of a dissociation. You're out of body. You're out of you aren't
100%.
there, and dissociation becomes your predominant means of managing horrible emotion. And that is how people survive in childhood. That's a dysfunctional mechanism in adulthood because it steps over regulation. You actually have to regulate. And the significant problem with all that is that parts of yourself that are traumatized stay walled off. Like, I'm sure you tell yourself, I've dealt with that trauma. I don't think about it anymore. It's no problem. I don't think about it. It's there.
Oh, yeah.
And it's fueling sabotage. It's fueling dysfunction. It's fueling stinking thinking. It's always there, but it's outside of consciousness because you literally unwire that part of yourself with trauma. It's an unwired place. And so
okay, so let's talk about this for a second. What about like regret? And I know everyone deals with regret. Everyone has probably my audience, a lot of people are like probably nodding their head right now, but like regret, like missed opportunities, things you should have done, things you should have done better. Like regret, that plays a lot in my life.
That is a.
Is there any way to fix that?
I'm going to tell you because yes, but you not by talking to you. It is a handmaiden. It's a relative of shame. So you have this toxic shame sitting underneath that you don't dare touch, but on the surface you get all the things you feel bad about. The reason you feel so bad about them and you can't undo them is they're attached to I'm actually a bad person. I'm actually a piece of shit. Yeah. And that you can't undo by thinking. You have to re-regulate. You have to get that part of your brain that's left behind wired back in with the rest. And that's trauma therapy.
So I need to go see a therapist. I have to, and I got to do a 12-step thing. That's what you're saying. But you told me that I could also go to church.
Well,
I've been having a pastor come over.
What I said was, you told me no fucking way am I going to go to 12-step, and I said, well, we got to figure something else out. and I said, you can't do it alone. And I said, yeah. And we talked for a while, and you talked about your spiritual life, and I thought, well, that's something that can lead to something, and that's important. It's important. So
that's what I'm trying to do. And I'm going to tie this up real quick for my audience here. So with the polarized climate, the way that it is right now, and there's going to be a lot of things, because, I follow the deep state war on my channel extensively. And I got a lot of good guests that come on and talk about this stuff that's happening behind the scenes with what's transpiring right now with everything, Trump say, a lot of people say it's revenge or retribution or whatever, but there's a lot of things that are going to be coming. A lot of people are going to be triggered, and a lot of people are going to be upset.
I am really scared by lawfare. I think that's one of the scariest things running around.
Yeah.
And if whatever they have to do to put that in the grave, they have to do, no matter what, who's triggered, no matter what, they have to put an end to this. I do not like leaders putting other leaders in prison or court or anything. I don't like it when they did it to Trump. I don't like doing it to Hillary. I don't like it. I think it's a bad.
But when it happened to Trump, I told everybody, get ready. That's going to be the boomerang. Now we're in the boomerang effect, where I believe that this is all going to be like a domino effect.
It is a boomerang, but it's also trying to put this shit down, put it down
Right.
once and for all.
Put it in the grave.
But I'm wondering if they can come up with a better way than lawfaring each other. Is there something
Right.
Congress can do? Is there something? Let's rise above this and do something so this doesn't happen anymore. I don't know if it's some kind of restriction on judges or something. I'm not enough of a legal mind to know, but this has to be. It's the scariest thing that goes on in our country. Of all the things, that's the thing that bothers me the most. That somebody could, and I've been the object of trumped up crazy stuff in the media, and some of which resulted in legal action. And it was totally made up stuff.
It's crazy.
And then that becomes the evidence for the legal. And then you're at the whim of a jury. This is not, no. This is terrible.
It needs to end. It needs to end.
It needs to end.
So as this stuff transpires in August, September, October, November, what do you suggest for people to do that have to get with their families during the holidays? It's going to be pretty polarized. It's going to be pretty hot. What do you suggest? Just sit this one out?
Well, I think it's important to understand that people are sort of past debate. You can't debate. It's sort of weirdly emotional, what everyone's into now, and you might as well not talk about it.
Yeah.
And I tell you what I do, because I want to learn. Ask lots of questions, and try to nail people. Try to hold people to the facts. Like, I wonder why he would do that, or what exactly did he do? I mean, what is it exactly that upsets you? I mean,
have them answer their own questions.
Oh, don't come at people.
Right.
This I am a great admirer of Dr. Phil as a television host, except for one thing. He led people to believe that this confrontation is how you get through to people. No, it's the opposite. That's how you get people to throw up force shields and you lose them forever. That is not psychology. That's talk show. That's him doing a talk show, and he's outstanding at it. But it's not psychology. Right. And psychology is about what's called therapeutic wonderment. I wonder why that is. I wonder, even when you know the answer,
right.
And maybe you'll learn something. Maybe you'll learn something that they'll tell you something you don't know, or maybe you'll understand more about how their mind's working. Stay empathic, stay attuned. Try not to be triggered, because I can feel people's guts, abdomen tightening up around each other these days. And let it drop if they start to, get going. Wonder why would they force a mask on a guy on an island in Washington?
Have you noticed a big shift in Hollywood? Has there been a big divide? Have you noticed a shift?
I've noticed. Here's what I've noticed: that reality is reasserting itself, and that human motivation and common sense are coming back. And so Sydney Sweeney sells jeans, and they sell. Because guys like, women like looking like hers. They want to wear jeans like that. Guys like looking at her. They want their girlfriend to wear jeans like that. It is how, it's unfortunate. It's how we work.
Right.
Reality, the ideological version of humanity, which always harms people, wherever ideology is the prevailing wisdom, sort of force in the world, always people get killed. It's always a disaster. You name the ideology, but Jacobins, sans-culottes, Maoists, Pol Pot, you name it. That is all ideology. The fact is, common sense is reasserting itself, and the reality of how humans are motivated and work, and in the marketplace particularly, is starting to reassert itself. So I'm starting to see the movies that are selling are those that appeal to people and men and girls, and boys. Absolutely. And so and that is picking up momentum fast. I've noticed that I'm starting to see in the trades things like they're like, oh, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. Oh my goodness, they're shocking. It's like, because that's what's working, and they're leaning into it, and good for them. But
also the mentality as a whole.
Mentality isn't really changing.
Really, because I feel like there's like an old Hollywood and this new Hollywood, right? Like this paradigm shift. I don't really watch movies anymore, and the youth don't really watch movies anymore. I mean, now it's like I think the new Hollywood is podcasting.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure. But
what is this? Where are we headed right now? Can you even put your finger on it, or is it just like the Wild West, like anything goes?
It is the Wild West. It is the absolute Wild West. I don't know if pods are going to consolidate, or certain pods are going to come through, if our pods are going to end up on TV, on networks, or if we're going to.
I think TV's. I don't know. I don't even know if TV's going to last. I mean, everything's streaming. Everything's just the internet. I mean, I think that's everything now.
Yeah, well, it's always been predicted as such. I remember I used to be friends with, actually, I did a production for 𝗬𝗏𝗯𝗶𝗃, who was the only guy to have headed all 3 networks back in the day. And he kept telling me, he kept saying, it's all going to be pay per view. It's all going to be, you pay for your menu of stuff, and that's your monthly subscription, and that's that. So he and it's going to be on TV. It's going to be on something like a TV.
Right.
Thing. And it's going to be on everything, to be fair. And so I don't know. I don't know what that looks like when it's all done. But let me go back to movies. So I think there's, do you know who Rob Henderson is?
Rob Henderson? I don't think so.
He's a sociologist. He's a guy that wrote a book called Troubled. You guys should read it. You would love it. He's a guy that was really through a lot of childhood trauma, foster system mess, went into the, I think the Air Force or Army, and it saved him. He became addicted afterwards. He found a way out. He went to the GI Bill, ended up at Yale, and looked around, and all these young kids were telling him about his life, and they knew nothing about it. He was like, you don't have any idea. He goes, these people have these beliefs that are just because they have money and they're upper, they're elite. And so these luxury beliefs they maintain hurt people like me from where I came from. And so he developed this notion of luxury beliefs. He actually went to Oxford and became a sociologist, actually a social psychologist. And he's just a brilliant guy. Read Troubled. I recommend it highly. So what was I saying? I just got an email from something that I was expecting, and it distracted me a little bit. So these luxury beliefs. So when it comes to Hollywood, there was I always said, TV and movie was never a business because it didn't operate like a business because there was so much money in it. They didn't have to. And now they're having to operate like a business where they have to make profits and they have to watch their margins and they have to have expenses. It's not just a free for all like it's been for the last 75 years. And as such, they don't get to have these luxury beliefs. They have to stay in reality a little bit about who buys it, who wants it, why they want it, what's motivating them, and let's create stuff that people want to see.
Well, here's one last thing I want to bring up. Do you think celebrity worship is dying? And do you think, because everyone now is an influencer, everybody is everybody thinks they're famous. You go anywhere on the street corner, someone's dancing, they have their phone out. It's insane.
Yes. And so if everybody's famous, nobody's famous.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Is that, could we say that?
Well,
I mean, I understand there's still Tom Cruise, The Rock, there's people like that trickling down, but I mean, in 10 years
or 20 years, certainly it's going to be very different. So let's talk about where that came from. So the famous figures used to be military and political, right? And occasionally they'd be opera singers, or they'd be artists, or they'd be standout.
Right.
Type.
Good point.
Or they would be again, political or military. And then in the 20th century, this new technology came in called celluloid film. And this moving picture stepped in, and people that learned how to corral that technology sent it all over the world. And the people in front of those celluloid images became figures that people thought they knew, they wanted to see more of. And then Hollywood, per se, old Hollywood, turned those people into products that they put out over and over and over again. We call that glamour. We call that Hollywood. We call that fame. And they were that was fame on a level that humanity never really knew before. And then television kicked in, and that was in radio, right? Even more so. They're in your home. They're in your living room. You're listening to them in your head all day or under your sheets at night. I mean, this was an intimate relationship with people on a scale that was unheard of. And then it starts dissolving and breaking down into a democratized, let's call it fame, I guess, of the influencers and the podcasters. And we don't know where it's going to, if it's like
diluted to me. It got diluted to where everyone
very diluted. So fame.
Go ahead.
it no longer is on the scale of what we think of as fame. I mean, it's questionable if it's even fame. It's almost like products for individual communities kind of thing. But if it's like every other business cycle, it will probably consolidate, and then somebody will come out of it that will have some sort of, like a Joe Rogan, right? That's
right. That's what I'm saying. Podcasting now is kind of going in this direction. But
yeah.
when you look at everything now,
it's just the latest technology. This is celluloid film, right? For 2025. I'm holding my phone up, and what's in my hand used to require an entire movie studio.
But what I'm getting at is, I bet you that even changes because now AI is taking over everything. Did you see like the group, the fake AI group that has all these hit songs? I forgot the name of the group, but it has millions of followers. It's all AI music. It's an AI group. They're not even real people. And that's catching fire. And it's like, we're not going to need people anymore.
So what was fame except a product to be exploited by the system? Right, and so when you get right down to it, who cares if it's real people or not? Because behind it is an economic system. And
so if you're concerned that AI is going to take over AI is going to take over everything.
Maybe or maybe not. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not afraid of it the way a lot of people are. I again, lean in, everybody. Lean in. Don't be afraid. Courage. Freedom.
Love it. All right. Look, Doc, I took enough of your time. Love you, man. Thank you for coming on my show. It's an honor. Dr. Drew, everybody. Where do they find you, Doctor?
My wife produces a show on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 2:00 that Nino has been on called Ask Dr. Drew. It's on Rumble, on YouTube, and X. Follow me on X, at Dr. Drew, DRDRW. DrDrew.com, DrDrew.tv. It's all the stuff there. But we would love to have your audience in with us. I've enjoyed talking to you. I've enjoyed interviewing you, and I certainly am happy to be a guest and talk to you whenever I can. So I appreciate it.
The Black Sheep family loves you, Doc. They love you. So thank you so much for coming on, folks. Dr. Drew, give him a hand, give him a thumbs up. Put a comment down below, like and subscribe, and please follow Dr. Drew as well. America's doctor. That's what I'm calling you.
All right, fair enough.